Hi, this is episode 32 of Crondos. I'm your host, Jordan Hudgens. I'm a Ruby dev and the CTO of the DevCamp platform. On Tuesdays, I cover various topics related to how you can get hired as a developer. And today I'm going to discuss how to answer questions related to the importance of test-driven development. First and foremost, if the terms TDD or BDD, which are short for test and behavior-driven development, are foreign to you, they are the practice of building code tests for applications. And even more specifically, they're software development processes in which you create a test that sets an expectation before implementing any code. An example of using TDD to create a feature for returning a full name from a user class would be to perform the following actions. The first step is to create a test that calls a new method, such as full name, that combines the first and last name of the user and returns a string combining the names into a single value. Then we'd run the test, knowing they'll fail because we haven't actually implemented any of the code yet. The second step would be to go and add the bare bones implementation of the code they'll get the test passing. Lastly, we go back and we refactor the implementation to ensure it conforms to best practices and that the refactor doesn't break anything. That process is known as red, green, refactor, and it's a very standard practice across all languages and frameworks. With that dead simple explanation of how TDD works, let's discuss the importance of test-driven development and the best way to answer this coding interview question. There's quite a bit of debate on the topic, with a number of prominent developers who are against the practice of test-driven development, with one of the main arguments being that many coders don't use it properly and are essentially just testing pre-existing functionality in the language or the framework instead of behavior of the application uniquely. However, with that being said, if you're looking to get hired as a developer, there's a very good chance you'll need to be fully versed in how to work with TDD and BDD, since I don't really know of many software organizations that don't require tests. There are four main reasons why I use test-driven development for all of my production applications that I build or manage. The first would be regression. If you add a new feature into your application, you need to have 100% certainty that the new code you added won't break any pre-existing functionality in the app. For example, if I create a new method that will break if any nil values are passed to it, which, by the way, just don't do that. That's a really bad coding practice. However, with that being said, if I did that and I call that method on legacy data that could contain some nil values, I want to know that before the new feature goes live and the entire site just explodes. Without tests, I'd have to go and manually test every part of the application each time I implement a new piece of functionality. However, if I have a full test suite, I can simply run the tests, and if they're all passing, it's a good indicator that the new changes can be pushed live. Next is team management. If you're managing a team, having a team of developers that follow test-driven development processes will give you a level of transparency into what they're doing. In fact, in Kent Beck's book, Extreme Programming, Beck says that testing is one of the biggest keys for a development process to stay on track and on budget. Third is documentation. When an application that was built with TDD is finished, the test should be able to provide 100% of the documentation for the software. Certain testing frameworks, such as RSpec, which is the main one that I use, even have the ability to print out tests in a documentation form, which provides a full description of the app's behavior and can be understood even by non-technical individuals. Lastly, the reason I use TDD is because if I've built a test suite that's structured properly, those tests should lead the development process. One of the most important keys to writing good software is to break code into as many small, manageable chunks as possible. When you use test-driven development, you should naturally write small methods, efficient class definitions, and you should be able to have minimal code bloat. When you're following TDD practices, the tests themselves should lead the software's development, and the end result should be a well-organized and scalable codebase. One caveat to TDD is that testing is pointless if the test suite is not well structured. If you simply create a myriad of tests that do nothing more than test the core functionality of a language or framework, your test suite isn't going to have any benefit. However, if you build an application and let the tests drive your development and code structure, you'll end up with a great application that you'll be able to be proud of. In the show notes, I've included a number of resources to help you understand TDD, including the full series by Martin Fowler that's seen as one of the most in-depth discussions on test-driven development ever produced. I hope that this guide will help you answer the question relating to the importance of test-driven development, and good luck with the interview.